Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Hijinks and Handlebars.
Will?
Yeah.
Woo?
Yeah.
Woo!
Okay.
It's usually an actual played Kids on Bikes tabletop live stream. I almost said Dungeons and Dragons.
QueueTimes.
Yeah, with QueueTimes. Today we're doing a cast chat, which is something that we do at the end of all of our arcs. Every arc we've done so far, we have done a cast chat. The first being on accident, the second being it should have been on accident, and the third, it's solidified. We're doing it. So thank you so much. Usually we're not in the chat. Today we will be in the chat. We will be in the chat. We'll see it. We get a woo. We get a yippee. Regal Mercenary, good to see you, as always. And
Are you sure that's a woo? That could be a woof.
Let's get a woo started in chat.
Woof!
Just to get some thank yous out at the top here, thank you to Hunters Entertainment for publishing Kids on Bikes and for giving me dice that have skulls on them in the backpack behind me. Also big thanks to QueueTimes, of course, Indigo and T.S. Quint and Krug for all the work you do to host us and make sure the show exists. And then also a big thank you to Tanamato for our overlay, which our current overlay, we have now almost gotten to the point this might be close to solidified. We did some changes since last week. We are now currently closer to the original overlay that he designed than we were before. So it's like in stasis, it's like an osmosis of things that Krug and Indigo have been working on based on Tanamato's overlay. And also, Tanamato is responsible for the banner image for Hijinks and Handlebars of me chasing them on bicycles as kids, and also all of the ARC posters that we've done so far. ARC 1, 2, and hopefully, in the future, 3. Jonas is cute. I know who that is.
Me too.
Unbelievable. Great.
I can't believe you've done this.
And then, so thank you to Tanamato. You can find him on Twitter and Instagram, and also check out his YouTube channel where he does sometimes storytime videos, sometimes storytime animation videos, and sometimes music videos, because he's also a musician. So you can check all of that out at Tanamato, Tanimayto. Great, excellent. So let's dive into the chat. I am William. I'll be the chat master.
No.
Today.
Chat master.
No.
Master
no.
Chat master.
the regular
Master of
chat on
chats,
this
chat
guy.
masters.
So William, they, them, chat master. It's confirmed. That's like really all I have to say.
I am Jonas Newhouse, he, him, and I am the alpha chat master here on the stream.
Okay. Hi, I'm Sam Richardson, and I am on brand. But I usually play Teddy Tedward Tank Thompson, who is miraculously... I'm not going to spoil that, because I forgot that...
We're doing a cast chat. We should.
Is it spoilers?
Heavy spoilers. Heavy spoilers.
Spoilers for everything.
We're literally going to be talking about anything.
Teddy's alive. This was an unexpected outcome.
Master Chatter
Honestly.
is not bad.
I normally play Derry, he, him, by the way, if we're doing
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
If that's the thing we're doing.
Yeah. Sam, he, him. Teddy, he, him.
I'm Franny, she, her. And I play Gertie Fox, she, her. And I'm just a chat member.
Spence LaBelle, they, them, he, him. Been playing Frankie Fox, he, him. And I'm not a master chatter, but I'm more like an apprentice chatter, a neophyte chatter, a chatter Padawan, a Chatawan.
Yeah, nice.
Ooh,
There we go.
Chatawan.
We found it.
Gotcha.
after all that. Great. Okay. Now, this usually we end up talking for a really long time. So
Yes.
you want to just like dive in?
Let's do it.
I don't know how this is happening. I'm watching the stream on my computer as well, and a question popped up that says, "Have you ever been able to see the skull on the dice?"
Whoa.
Where did that come from?
I'm assuming QueueTimes did that.
Yeah, QueueTimes. Interesting.
I'm
So
looking
we're
at your
doing.
shit. Where did that come from?
I mean,
Oh.
we've been able to
Who is your
see.
favorite
We
clown
have
about
a
town?
question from
I'm not-
a member of the audience. They say, someone named Boss Dog, who is your favorite clown about town?
It's the poll. Oh, is there a poll?
Don't say it. Don't
Wait,
say
does
it.
everyone know who that is?
Saying it as off
Wait,
brand.
I
wait,
am Boss Dog.
we're on.
No, you're not.
Oh.
I am.
We're in the cast chat. We can talk openly about Mark's profession.
No, I'm good. No,
Thanks,
no, I'd rather not get the YouTube video demonetized immediately. It is the poll I put in like a super long time ago.
Cool.
And I guess I've never seen it before. That's fun.
Well,
We're discovering
Can
new
they?
things.
I need to know now. Okay, so we're going to start off with...
Boss Dog's question.
Are we... Are we...
Favorite clown about town.
Mine's Frankie, just for...
We got sent in some questions from a couple of people. How we're going to do this is we're going to answer those questions, and then if somebody has a question in the chat that they would like to ask, we will also answer those questions. So as we go about this, if something like clicks for you and you're like, oh, that's adjacent to like this thing that I would like to know, then feel free to just type that into the chat and we will answer it.
Or also just like, you don't need to just like be asking questions, you know, like we would love to just hear your
Yeah,
responses.
this is a conversation.
Like, yeah, you know, contribute. We want to hear your thoughts, like hear like what has made you feel things and be like, oh yeah, you know, like we like honestly we'll probably be asking you questions throughout the audience.
Favorite moments and
the
favorite
audience.
episode for each of you watching. Please list those in...
wherever
Please
you're
list
typing.
those
Oh,
nearest Frank.
Shit!
It's either
It's backwards.
It's either to the side or to the side.
Yeah.
Or
Back
down
it up,
below if you're on
Mario.
mobile. So we got questions from Shannon. So we're going to start with those. These questions, there are 3 of them. So the first one is, these 3 arcs have been really one mega arc. Do you guys have plans for more arcs with as much substance, or was that the bulk of it? I feel like that's mainly a me question.
Yes.
So I will say that there are still like tiny things unanswered from everything we've done so far, but I will also say that this is currently everything that I had figured out. Like in previous cast chats, I said like, oh, I know exactly how like the final episodes for this version of what I believe the story to be are going to end. And I did do that. It happened. The thing happened. And now that's done. The thing that I knew...
It happened, the thing happened, now that's done.
The thing that I knew was that CJ was going to leave with pieces of themselves, and that would, like, quote unquote, like, remove the shadow place and either completely, like, terminate the existence of, like, Andolin and Teddy, or something would happen. Like, I did not have solidified like this is gonna happen. I'm gonna do it no matter what. But yeah, so that's like as far as substance was concerned. We have met where I have had like thought broad strokes, but now I'm just gonna run it the way that I usually run it, which is like they give me something and then I think about it for a week. Constantly, and I run it through my head of like, what are cool things that I can do with these gifts they've given me, and then I just like build story off of that, which is like pretty much what I've been doing anyway. So, I do have 2 new concrete, substantial things that we can move towards, but these less than anything else I had for that first like mega arc. Do not have to be addressed or resolved ever, probably. But they are there if the players find them and choose to invest in them. So I do have like plans, but by no means do we have to do them. And I'm also kind of excited to see what my players want to do.
This is kind of like the part when you've like completed the main quest line and now you're just free to just fuck around and do all the side quests.
Well, yeah, and we still have, there's some stuff unresolved from, like, session 0 that we have, because we have the hunt for Santa X, we have
Yes.
Jumping the Gorge, and we have the first Mom Strength show or release. We did, like, we leaked it at the end of Arc 3, but
Alright.
not official, so.
Yeah, let's do some plowing, because I see Regal Mercenary has a bunch of questions that they can wait till the pre-asked questions, so let's do that.
Yeah, and like if any of you have questions at any point, don't feel like you need to wait for an organic moment in the conversation to ask them. You can just drop them in the text and we'll get to them when we can get to them.
Yep.
The earlier responses in the chat, I did not see. The last thing I saw was Yippee.
Yippee!
Regal
In
Mercenary,
the
sorry.
first thing? Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
never mind.
Yeah, we should note the first message that we have access to, in case you messaged before that,
Is Yippee.
is Yippee. That's the first one?
That's the first message I can see.
Okay.
Yeah. Yippee, and then I see woo. Jonas is cute. So that's like.
Who said that?
Gee, I don't know.
I have no idea. Okay, so that's that question.
I did want to point out real quick. Sonny Hoover says their favorite moment was the moment that the thruple became canon.
Oh yeah.
And their favorite episode is when we found out that Teddy was dead, which also is one of my favorite episodes. William sprung that on me. I did not know that information beforehand, and it was very interesting.
But I did. I think I mentioned this in another chat. I did prep you for.
Oh yeah. No, it was great. No. I don't.
Just
mean
like
to
behind the scenes. I mean, like if you're gonna do something like very emotional to one of your players, like you prepare them for it. Like and if you above and beyond you want it to be a secret, like just make sure you get them as close to like prepared as possible. Sam and I have a lot of trust there, so like I knew Sam would not only handle this but also probably like it.
Yeah.
So that was something that I was able to do as a GM just because we're very good friends. We trust each other and I did a lot of prep up to that point. And but there's a lot of discourse going on online about tabletop stuff about if you have a secret, just let it be meta knowledge. I mean, like,
Yeah.
it's fun to surprise people at the table. And it's fun to have secrets for yourself, or a secret with just between you and the GM, or a secret between players that GMs don't know. It's really group by group. I like when they spring things on me. I hope they like when I spring things on them. But that doesn't work for a lot of tables. And if it's something that you have to worry about, whether it be like triggers or anything like that, people just be more careful, because it's not worth it to like have a surprise like, oh, your surprise is like, oh yeah, I used to be a serial killer. It's like that's like you really stuff that you have to
also kind of just
about.
comment on in terms of how to play a tabletop game while holding and maintaining secrets. It's also like if you don't like, again, on the vein of like, it's always important and good to like build trust with your fellow, players and whatnot, and I think like sharing things in the meta is good. It also allows you, because like often we hold secrets in such a way because we want, the purpose of a secret is to create a reveal, and like if you want your players and like other players at the table to like yes and that, it's better to like let them know that it's coming, because otherwise I feel like it's the most common instinct that if there's a secret, and the moment somebody realizes there's a secret there is like, let me hound that out. What's that? And then it's like, okay, cool, fine, and like you blow all the steam off of it. Having done that in other campaigns before.
And then from Regal Mercenary here, I recently had an emotional backstory thing thrown at my character in a campaign, but it ended up being a beautiful moment of improv. But also, not every player can handle something of that nature, and I completely agree. Yeah,
absolutely.
And if that's something, if that's something that you think you're like you can handle, and something you would be excited about, hey, tell your GM.
Yeah.
Tell your GM that, like, hey, anything you want to throw at me, like,
Twist the knife.
Yeah, twist the knife. There's at Tchaikovsky on Twitter, Sam Delev. They talk about that kind of stuff all the time. They really like having like kind of gripping, like pulling the heartstrings sort of backstories, and they talk about just handing that over to your GM and being like, hurt me, but like trust that we will hurt together in a very positive and comfortable way.
Were they the one who? Because I don't know if this is the same thing that we're referring to, but I saw like a post hanging out talking about when creating a character with backstories, like build like 2 to 3 knives into your backstory that you can then hand over to your GM, which they can then use to like hurt you. And they also make a point that it's also like, you don't need like 50-40 knives, in terms of just quantity, and that's when you start creating like these edgelord backstory characters that we've all like heard jokes about, these archetypes, so it's just like, and like you have a few key points on that. That's something that can then become a very character type thing that your GM can like bring up.
The biggest thing is understanding and trust. As long as everyone is on the same page, you can do pretty much anything in a tabletop game. It's just a matter of like everyone being comfortable with where the game is going and how it gets there.
So the next question from Shannon, because I think we got that one. any merch ideas in the works?
Yeah, we've been brainstorming. We especially like one day we were like brainstorming a bunch of T-shirt ideas, mostly T-shirt ideas. I don't think we have or just apparel things that designers that can go on. But we have a few we want to do.
We do have a few we want to do. We're not going to be launching any of them soon, so don't get super excited hell yeah, I'm gonna get my Hijinks and Handlebars merch right now, but maintain that excitement for the future for when we do have them. Does anybody want to say what a couple of them are, just ideas that we have?
I don't remember. I'm gonna check
I want to so when we were having this conversation, was it you, Spencer, that brought up the idea for someone, I can't remember who brought up the idea for the shirt? For the skilled
I'll just say it,
shirt.
yeah. Right now, the biggest concept that we had was kind of a skilled at loves dog shirt. So we were probably gonna we were looking at because if you have your own kids on bike shirt, let me just hold this closer to the camera so you can see. One of the abilities, and we even make this joke since episode 1. You have the skilled at section.
Zero session.
Yeah, zero session. So we to make that bit, and then we've turned it into an actual game mechanic. So we're toying with concept designs to be how do we we're using some of the art from the arc, see how if BB could work at while kind of sort of creating that skilled at loves dog sort of picture.
Yeah.
Just really quick to comment on that, Regal Mercenary said this is an axe would be dope too. That is another idea that we are working on. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, this is an axe. In fact, actually, if you follow any of us on Twitter because this chat eventually we won't return to it, but if you send us Facebook or Twitter or Instagram messages at HandleStream on Twitter and Instagram, or at KWilliamWhite on Twitter and Instagram, shirt ideas, that would be cool, because it'd be interesting to see what is really sticking with fans that might not be sticking with us, or things that we agree on, because this is an axe. That was the second shirt idea, the rules of axe wielding, that kind of thing. We haven't exactly nailed in what that design is going to be, but it is a shirt idea. And also in chat, QueueTimes said that we are shooting to open the store end of August for merch.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
cool. And you were saying?
Well, also, just real quick, if you are excited about the idea of getting merch, telling us that, tweeting that at us, tweeting that at QueueTimes, if that idea excites you, that is good to hear, because then that gives us the confidence of if we actually, if we make these things, then people are actually interested in buying them. Mm-hmm. So, if you want Hijinks Handlebar merch, one of the best things you can do right now is just spread the word that is something that you would be interested in purchasing.
And you're also at a point in time where you get to have a lot of input in if you want merch, you essentially really have since it's not created yet, you have you the viewer can comment on YouTube later, and if you're in the chat right now, comment on YouTube later. What you want the merch to be.
Oh, that's actually great. If we went QueueTimes, Indigo, I think you're the one watching. If we can make the question for the YouTube video be what are your merch ideas?
Yeah.
What would you like to see turned into merch? That would be great. I think that's a good question, and we can leave it there.
Yeah,
we're good.
I think so. Sure.
Okay. Also, hello, Dragon Gem.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you, QueueTimes.
Can do.
The last question from Shannon is also. Maybe I missed an explanation somewhere or got confused with what happened, but where the heck is Pappy Fox?
We don't know.
He disappeared and never reappeared, right? Mm-hmm. You're correct.
Yeah, we don't know where he is. He's gone.
That is one of the loose ends.
But I'm pretty sure he's okay.
Well, here's the thing.
I'm pretty sure he's...
No, he's
probably okay, but the thing is, whatever state he was in, at the end of Arc 3, before we went back in time, we don't know where he's at now, and if he's still okay, if he's more or less okay than he was.
What I like to think,
you didn't miss anything, though.
I like to think Pappy Fox is oh shoot, who's the character in
Lord of the Rings?
The Riders of Rome.
Is that one with the staff who
in
fights
Jumanji, Robin Williams'
Gimli.
character.
Oh, yeah.
When he goes
Gimli.
So So I think Pappy Fox, even if he is in dangerous territory, I think he's handling himself quite well.
Yeah.
Wait,
Or
okay, so
what if Pappy just straight up died and was disintegrated, and then pops up a year ago back to life, being like, "What the hell?"
Well, I like the idea that, because in Jumanji, Robin Williams was a kid when he went into the wild and he became a strong survivor. Pappy Fox is an adult strong survivor who then goes into the wild
And becomes a kid.
Becomes a kid.
becomes a kid, and then he comes back with super
Oh my god, that
character.
Isn't it funny that I'm picturing
would be
like 13-year-old Pappy Fox, but like
Oh my
with like
God.
I'm picturing it with like full Patrick
Oh,
beard
no.
too,
Please.
and that's the image I have in my head.
Please.
Okay,
I want it.
So
That would be really fun.
Regal Mercenary added to add to this. It just hit me, or did wait? Hold on. To add
just
to
me?
that, is it just me, or did he just randomly have a crap ton of adversity tokens? I can explain that. So I helped build Patrick's character sheet for Pappy, and we agreed on a few things, the strengths that you can get, which is like how Frankie uses intuitive by like spending two adversity tokens.
One for intuitive.
One for intuitive,
is
an
broken.
adversity token, which is broken, to use intuitive to ask the GM a question, and then I have to respond honestly, within reason. And then also like 2 adversity tokens to use lucky to reroll a die. How Teddy uses tough to not get as hurt from fights and that kind of thing,
To
or
just whip out that accept.
yeah, the accept, which you had to do for him in the finale,
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
which is fine.
You were ready to go. You were ready to
But
let
that kind
go.
of stuff, those strengths are all. Skilled at is another strength. I was building those with Pappy, and there were a few things that we built that required, like, spending 2 adversity tokens to use, and it was stuff that I thought really fit the character. So I was like, well, I'll just start you off with 5 adversity tokens, because I didn't think a whole lot was going to happen. But then he ended up failing twice
Yeah.
at something, so he marked 2 more adversity tokens,
Is he easygoing? Also?
and one of the
No.
one of the strengths I gave him was loyal, and loyal in Kids on Bikes lets you give, when you give 1 adversity token to help like a friend of yours, it counts as 2. So he only had 7 adversity tokens, but it counted as 14 if he used all of them at once. So but that only works if it's like if you're using it to help somebody else accomplish something. So that's like literally what happened there. I didn't expect him to stockpile them. I thought he would be using the strengths, and he didn't, and then helped Gertie. Gertie getting into the chest at that moment removed an entire arc that I thought was going to happen. It completely removed an entire arc. That's why we didn't have any build up to this finale, because I was like, okay, all right, I don't think it's going to happen. And then just boom, everything was over, and I was like, well, we're done now.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, I just can't believe I love as a player that Gertie got to open the chest and that Teddy just was like somewhere else. But as Teddy, like in that moment, I was like, oh my god, no. I wanted to be there for that so much. And I think like it ended up being so good. Like that whole this whole last arc.
Shannon's here. Shannon, we just
hello.
we just finished all of your questions.
We just answered all
We
of
won't
them.
repeat that. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh no. Well, now you have to watch the VOD. Oh boy. Well,
welcome. Thank you for coming.
yeah, I'm so glad you could be here. Regal
Thank you for your
Mercenary
questions.
did say that can lead on to my next question then. What did you have planned to be their requirements to open the chest?
It's funny because, like, as you're saying that, I was starting to, like, kind of in my own head piece together, like, okay, cool. If I were, like, GMing this, what would be the rough draft? And I could see it, like, where we kind of took shortcuts, theoretically, you know, where we could have had a whole arc of, like, let's kind of take out the bullies, and then we still have the mystery behind that to unwind, where we'd go into the chest, we'd go into the shadow zone, we'd go into the shadow zone. It's already the
Get
one
in the
zone?
zone, the shadow
Get in
zone.
the zone. Shadow zone, Chuck. Anyways.
Yes. Yeah.
Shadows. Okay. Okay.
Shannon, you can go back and watch the VOD. I'll give you an abridged. Yes, I still have plans for the future, but the bulk of what I ever thought was going to be this show is now done. So We're in uncharted territory. It's very exciting, but I do still have substantial things that could happen. They're not as directly impactful as all the Shadowplay stuff that we were doing before. So it could be stuff that the players just glaze completely over, or it could be big stuff that we focus on.
Watch session 0.
Any merch ideas in the works? Yes, we have shirt ideas. We have Skilled at Loves Dogs is planned. We are in talks for This is an Axe, or the rules to axe safety. And we're going to also, we didn't mention this, but we're going to have a basic, like, our banner image as a shirt. So it says Hijinks Handlebars, and it has me as a dad chasing down all of them on their bikes, like the image you see before we stream. So that's all going to be there. And then you did not miss an explanation. Pappy Fox is missing, and we don't know where he is.
Mm-hmm. But he might, you can turn that off, you know. He might come back as a kid, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
Meta-wise, Pappy has to be alive because
over
I
that.
still want to play with Patrick again. Hello, and I
Yeah,
know you'll
Pat-
see this.
Patrick-
We had so much fun playing with Patrick when he was here. That was awesome.
Pat P. Fox.
Okay. I feel like I need car parts.
Because we were saying
Get in the
zone.
Oh, yeah.
Shadow zone.
Okay, good. Glad to know there's plenty to come. Skill that loves dogs, right up my alley. Oh, no, Pappy.
Well, here's your problem. You got 4 cc's of carbonated demon up in your carburetor. I know how vehicles work. You got some necromancy up in them bits.
Okay, cool. We have another question from Dasani. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's do Regal Mercenaries.
Cool.
So what did I have planned for the requirements to get into the chest? The requirements to get into the chest were to unlock both of the locks. They didn't have a key. They just needed... So they had the combination, which they found out from the papers and stuff that CJ had been working on. And then they needed the key, which was a safety deposit box in the post office. But you were going to go in and you weren't going to be able to find it. But I rolled for Declan, and Declan found it because like the brains roll. It was going to be a brains roll or like a puzzles roll to figure it out. But it was going to be zero. No, it was going to be the locker. The box number was going to be box number 71 because I kind of like lied to you when you asked me if the year was important for all of the numbers you were finding, and it was 1971 was what they were all dated, and 71 was
Gotcha.
going to be the number of the box, and you would have had to find that because it wouldn't be linked to CJ's name. But literally, when I did like a private roll, and Declan got 19. And I was like, okay, Declan, fine.
Declan
I'm gonna make sure you're illusioned invisible, then, you jerk.
Declan is smart and strong.
So yeah, they just needed to get that key. And here's why everything wrapped up so quickly. I didn't think they were gonna pick the lock. I thought they were gonna go to get the key. I thought everything that happened in that finale was gonna happen when they went to get the key. And then the last arc was going to be them going to the Undershade. That is what I thought was gonna happen. That's where the disconnect happened. Getting into the chest completely smushed both of those arcs together, and they did both of them at the same time, which was cool. So that's like what ended up happening. They would take the key back, they would open the chest, and then they would find CJ connected to all the roots and stuff there. Exactly what happened. Yeah.
Which can I just say is a lesson in good GMing. Like, if your players burn through all the stuff that you have, just like roll with it.
Yeah, just let them do it.
Just let them do it. That is.
We're the heroes.
Yeah, I mean, like, William does such a good job of just rolling with whatever we decide it is that we want to do, and just letting us play in that space and finding those interesting moments for ourselves, rather than, you know, having a story that they are determined to tell no matter what. So I don't know. I appreciate that.
First and foremost, we are playing a game, and secondly, we're telling a story. And coincidentally, I might not even be the best storyteller at the table. And what's beautiful about being at a table with a bunch of other people and writing a story together is that you don't have to write it by yourself. And a lot of times, whether it be in like personal conversations about the show where they're excited and they want to tell me their theories or anything like that, or it be like literally at the table, sometimes they will come up with stuff And I'll be like, that's way better than what I had planned. Sure, that's what happened.
There was
But, like,
going to be a dragon. It
Yeah.
was going to be some pretty straightforward fight scenes. And like, oh no, cool. We got a dead sister. Okay.
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you so much, and thank you, everyone. Declan is definitely OP.
Declan is definitely getting nerfed in the next patch.
Yeah, the next patch. Yeah, the DLC.
The Declan.
We kind of actually talked about this. I've kind of been saying this is almost like a campaign finale, and this feels like we're kind of stepping over to Hijinks and Handlebars campaign 2, but I don't really know what the like nomenclature is. You know,
I've been
for
saying
such a thing.
season, which makes the most
makes sense to me.
Yeah.
It's like we did like smaller arcs within it, but like we told a complete story in about a season's length of time.
Yeah,
But yeah.
Including side episodes, we were at what, 28 episodes?
something like that.
Yeah.
Whoa.
2029.
Season 1, baby.
Yeah, in the bag, in the magic bag. Don't ask me. If the magic
That's
stuff,
season 2, the magic bag.
if the magic stuff never happened, who do you think your characters would be at this point?
Oh, that's a good question.
And
Whose
that's
was that?
that's from Dasani.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
That's a great question. I love
Like,
that.
You would be a little bit more hospitalized.
Yeah.
You would be a little less hospitalized. Well, actually, you'd be dead.
Well,
That's
that's totally true. Without the magic stuff.
Assuming you would still be alive.
Okay,
Right.
It's
assuming
easier. Well, hang on. I do want to do like theoretically though,
Yeah.
if the magic wasn't present to bring Teddy back,
Yeah.
since Teddy and Gertie have that strong treasure hunter bond, you know, and Derry and Teddy have like that strong best friendship. I almost feel like maybe Derry and the Fox siblings may also not have the same sort of friendship they currently have, same degree of camaraderie. So this is the movie, the classic movie that everyone knows that I don't need to say the name to the reference because I choose not to, not because I forgot. But you know, A Star Is Born. Nope,
Stand
that's
By
not
Me?
it. Stand by Me. Nope, that's not it.
Sliding Doors?
The Christmas one with
Christmas
oh
Story?
with an angel. Sure.
Oh, I don't want to talk about that movie.
Miracle on 34th?
No, we're talking about
Wait,
Sixth
It's a Wonderful Life?
yeah.
It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
We just named basically all of the Christmas movies before we got to
No.
the
I'm thinking of Rudolph. You're the red nose that guides us together.
Teddy
Yeah.
with your nose so bright.
That was a tangent. Sorry.
No, that I think that is very interesting, and that is something like this. So this question is really something that we're going to be dealing with in the next arc.
This is true.
Sort of. I mean, like we will still remember all of the events up to this point, but our characters
We're
are
in a world
going.
where it hasn't happened.
Yeah, our characters are going to have to adapt to a world where where everything that we've been doing up to this point hasn't happened yet, or has never happened, will never happen, maybe. I think that's really interesting. I'm very excited. I've already talked to William a little bit about kind of where I see Teddy going, like what I kind of am interested in doing with his character, like going into this next season 2 or next campaign or whatever you want to call it.
I feel like we're starting to bleed into the question: how do we think the next one is gonna, how the next season is
fair.
gonna unfold? And I think we have other questions to answer before.
Let's stick
Okay.
with this. So, still, who do you think your characters would be at this point?
Okay.
I do want to know that. Without the magic stuff, who do you think, who and how do you think your characters would be at this point?
I don't know for sure that Derry would have learned to use his brain more than his fists the way that he did. Because I built him with a D20 brain and a D4 brawn, like for the reason of wanting to like gradually find the reason to use his actual strengths. And like that came from the fact that we couldn't stand up to the bullies because they had more magic than us. If they didn't, I don't know that Derry would have like backed off on like full on confronting them the way that he had been before. So it is possible that like there would have been more fighting happening. But also like you said he would have been more hospitalized, and I don't know if that's true because the only times that he got hospitalized were a result of the magic stuff.
Well,
That's not true.
No. End of arc 1, you before BB and before the bullies even got their powers, you had that fight and they like cornered you in the bathroom.
Oh, that's
and
right.
then that was like us really discovering BB's powers is like barking, and that was like the arc 1 kind of fade out. Like you know, we tangemented you, and then
That's
like.
right.
zoom out, which but I think you may be on the money in how that would have continued to escalate, you know, and I can see that, like, because we can just heal, and that's like a point of confidence, so maybe like we don't get hung up on that point of conflict, you know, so it's like more, you know, so we may still have been entrenched in that sort of path.
Yeah.
It definitely came up in the third arc when we couldn't use BB's powers. All of us got like super fucked up, and then we were like, oh shit, what do we do?
Who even are we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Gertie probably would have been more focused on. She would have been more focused on school and the relationships with Harini and Declan. Not to say that it would go like full blown romance, but just like cultivating more of a friendship with the three of them. Not that they didn't within the course of the 2-week period. I don't know, yeah. Just getting more involved. Maybe she would have run for president. Who knows?
I can see it.
Not on my watch.
Mom Strength definitely would have probably come out with something already by this point. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Mom Strength
really
would have been a bigger part of of Teddy's life, because I feel like magic got in the way.
Yeah, Halloween Dustin would have lasted a day.
Really.
Yeah. I also think, so something that I kind of set up in the first couple episodes is Teddy doesn't confront problems very well. Like, one of the main tenets of his personality is he just runs away from everything. And I think over the course of the last 3 arcs, he has learned to do that less. I don't think we're at a position yet where he's comfortable confronting everything, but I definitely think, picking Teddy out from before the series and putting him in that final confrontation with Little Pete in the Undershade, there's no way Teddy would have done anything except just bounce out of there immediately. So I feel like if we're talking about a situation where there had never been magic entered into the equation, Teddy would still be the kid who was running away from his problems.
But instead, he became the kid that straight up shot somebody.
All thanks to magic.
Thanks, man.
Cool. Did we get a thing on Frankie? Did we really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first thing.
Oh yeah.
He still would have lit on fire by this series.
I wonder if. I think having a magic dog kind of created, on some level, a sense of invincibility, which may have kind of egged on early Frankie hijinks, So, Green Streak never happened. Maybe it will happen again. I think Frankie needs to hunt down Green Streak to remark him. Because honestly,
Green Streak might remember.
I hope he does. I hope he sees it in his dreams. Because Tim, aka Green Streak, that was an important moment in Tim's life where Tim learned a lot.
Isn't Tim the brother of somebody?
Yeah, of Mark. Disney Kid is somebody.
Disney Kid is Declan's younger brother.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Which I can't wait to meet him.
Yeah.
Frankie
Who knows if you ever will.
is still invincible.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's gone forever. He disappeared.
In Disneyland.
I wanted to say real quick, I think it is very interesting to have seen Frankie's emotional side come out more over the last 3 arcs. I feel like, especially towards the end of the season, when Frankie confronted the Krolum and all that kind of stuff, we really got to see, and when the bullies were buried underground, we really got to see a very different side of Frankie.
Actually, just to talk about that, because I was able to talk with Sage on Twitter. Hi, Sage, if you see this later. And kind of just talking about, which was episode 11 or episode 12, where we thought, oh no, Frankie's about to die. But because I remember, we started that episode on the cliffhanger of the Krolum just wrenching open the garage and Frankie just being like, uh-oh. And we started that episode at such a high stakes level. High stakes and handlebars. But then it was funny because that high tension and drama in the air was then Franklin started immediately rolling stupid high and just lucking out and just immediately busted up. It's why was I ever scared in the first place? Which kind of which for me as a player kind of undercut that tension, and like we definitely had some really good bits just then. Like, oh, the Kroll was about to retire and has a young wife and a rookie Kroll in training.
Yeah.
And like, so just kind of the way the dice played out, like the danger and drama was immediately cut through, which like wasn't resolved. Like that was still in the air, which then when we had that discovery of the bullies, it kind of all came crashing down. And, you know, my perspective very much was like, and I think I may have said this through Frankie as a mouthpiece, that, you know, Spencer as a player really felt like this is the game, you know, I'm just playing a game, I'm just shooting some monsters. And then we have some actually like stuff which does have some like real emotional weight, finding somebody you knew now passed in the woods, you know. And so all of that displaced energy, which is kind of like particles in the air, just kind of came.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify in response to Chard Winter's comment here. The name Mom Strength actually predates all the Magic activity and
That's
all the
true.
events of the show.
Yes.
We have been Mom Strength since before any of us knew us. So
We've been Mom
the
Strength
canon.
since we were born.
yes, we were
We
born.
were
Mom
born
Strength.
into this life. We didn't choose Mom Strength. Mom Strength chose us.
Wait, I also want to repeat Dasani's comment for the fonts for later. When Frankie was in the garage, had to be the scariest moment to me because I had a younger sibling who was 9. And yeah, that's some scary shit. Thinking about like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I mean, like, I even when I was describing it myself, like, I was picturing, but for a lot of like descriptions that I do, I grew up in a really small town, so I just like go to what the layout of like my school was, or what the layout of like, so we had a garage, and I was just like picturing like that being torn up, and whether I was describing it like so much that you were like, oh, like, but like to me inside my head, I was like, seeing that creature just like completely rip the garage open and like poke its head in and roar at your face was just like it was very visceral for me. So it's good to hear that it was also that for other people.
Yeah.
And then also comedically starting the next episode with Frankie just kicking my ass was very good. Oh, I love that. Yeah. So we have
Have
another.
we hit all the
Yep.
pre-submitted questions
No.
that we got?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope,
Because we
nope.
wanted to do those before we.
Yeah.
got
We have
chat.
another question that we were doing a pre-stream live stream on Instagram, so follow at HandleStream. And Jasani asked a question. How do you think? Hey, Tomato.
Thanks, Tomato. Thank you.
Welcome.
How do you think having a sibling relationship in game affected all your characters and how they developed? Let's pose this to Gertie and Frankie first, and then open it to the group.
Cool.
I talked a little in pre-stream. You wanna?
Wait, sorry, can you repeat the question? I was
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
excited about Tonomato.
So sad. Wait, hold on. Is anything else happening right now? How do you think having a sibling relationship in game affected all your characters and how they developed?
Well, I think right off the bat, it gave Gertie kind of a sense of purpose as far as like, you know, feeling protective over Frankie and like, but also wanting to be like the encouraging big sister to be like, hell yeah, go and jump the gorge. I'll be there to
Yeah,
watch it.
yeah.
Like, make sure you're safe. And then, and just like everything from like, I love how we're able to like team up against mom and dad.
Yes, I love
that-
those
poor bastards.
it's just, I mean, it's so fun to have like that other, you know, person to play off of.
And it's kind of like when you know you have that sibling relationship to play, it then raises the question of like, what kind of siblings are they? You know, like what kind of siblings are they? You know, so to make the choice that Gertie is like, and for Frankie to be such a chaotic force, it would be very easy to make the choice to be like the one trying to keep it in rein, but like you're like, nah, let's fan those flames.
Yeah. I mean, and actually, we've talked about this like for other cast chats too. Because I'm so glad, and I do not regret making the decision that this was the relationship we decided with. Because I can't even imagine Gertie like being bothered by Frankie ever.
Yeah.
Like I just think that would first of all just not be fun to play. Just to be like, oh, get out of here. Like well, like that just.
That was such a huge conversation for you and me
Yeah.
when we first started. Like you developing your character as a sibling, because I like one of the first things you immediately said to me is like, I don't want to be like a doting sister, or like I don't want to be like, yeah, no, you should be safe, or like I don't like these things you're doing. Like, so that was like, I think that was such a cool route to go, and every time Frankie does something, and it like cuts to Gertie, and you're like, let me paint flames on that, or like something like, let me burn the edges of your cape a little bit, or like so, like that kind of stuff is like so cool. That's like so good. It's more of like a partners in crime than like I'm your older sister, and
Yeah.
I love that relationship.
I mean, Frankie really just keeps Gertie young. You know, so.
Oh yeah, the Gorge Arc 4 goal. Lol.
Maybe.
Well, we almost jumped it like 2 episodes ago when Derry was driving.
I like
seriously
the
considered
number
about
of times where we've just had that floating out, and then there are moments of like, cool, we've like teased it, like when the Chrome was chasing Frankie on the bike, and we were just like, fuck it, you know. It's just like a set piece where it's like, we're being chased. I'm gonna turn towards the gorge.
Yeah. You're like, I love when you asked me, I think it was the last episode or like 2 episodes ago, where you're like, if we keep going this direction, where do we hit? And I was like, the gorge.
I was like,
Yeah, that stuff's funny.
I think another aspect of what the sibling relationship that the Foxes had did is it pushed Teddy and Derry to be closer, I think, or at least like to spend more time together, because it like really paired us off into 2s and 2s and on sides of the table. But like, that might probably have still happened, because there was a lot of stuff from the Zero session where like, oh, our characters are compatible. It makes sense that they'd be best friends. But like, it gave us more like room and reason to just like split in half, basically.
Yeah. I also just want to say, I mean, like, I think the Fox siblings being like this unifying force of like, you know, both kind of going after the same goal, or at least supporting each other in search of, you know, whichever direction they were going, was such a fundamental part of the tone that for like setting through the first couple episodes. Because I think you're totally right, Franny. Like, if you had been the sister that was like, "Oh, don't do that. Like, you need to be safe. You can't, you know,
you're
whatever."
Too young to do this.
You're
Get
too
outta
young.
here.
Yeah. It would have set a completely different tone for the entire show. So, like, I'm so happy that we ended up with this, with the dynamic that the 4 of us have, and we've even seen it in, you know, in episodes where we've done. Like the Monkey Business half episode, where it's Frankie and like a cast of different characters. The dynamic is completely different. It is fundamentally a different show, because the way our characters play off of each other is a very specific tone, I think.
Yes.
I also just want to speak on Teddy and Andelin's relationship real quick.
Sure.
Because I think it is slightly different than the Fox siblings. Like I think Andelin was a character that I had created, I think, for episode 1.
Yeah. It was between the Zero session and episode 1.
Yeah.
You sent me like all the information about her.
Yeah. And that was something that I had decided for Teddy, that ended up really defining his entire his actions over the course of all 3 of the arcs.
And not just Teddy's, like Andelin became like going into seeing Andy again in the underplay, like because it's like the first like a half of season 1, and like I always had this feeling of like feeling so sad for Teddy, and having this like that's Andy, and just being like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But then like when we actually start seeing Andy as this figure within the shadow place, that's like Andy became such just a massively central to the plot character, you know, which was super cool.
And I also think it was interesting to play a character who had lost his sister, who was so close to this brother-sister, this other brother and sister dynamic. Like, I think that played into like how close Teddy was with the Foxes, because I think, you know, part of that was him wanting that, like, wanting that relationship, or wanting to be close to as close to that relationship as he could get.
And kind of finding that in Derry as well, who has so many siblings.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's
but
7.
aren't close really with any of them.
Yeah.
Well, they're just
There's just
not
an age
physically
difference.
close.
Yeah.
Well, there's an age difference, and like the youngest were 21.
Yeah.
So
I think one of the the episodes that I've had the most fun playing with.
Sorry, we just got hit with Dasani in the chat said Andy versus Taryn, who would win in a fight?
Andy would win.
Taryn.
No, Andy would
Sorry
win.
to say.
Also, can you read Tanameto's comment?
Yeah, Tanamato said, I love the foxes. No, I know you want me to read the other one. Frankie is like alcohol. He doesn't change people. He reveals people's true nature. I don't agree with the sentiment that alcohol does that, but I like the idea. I do agree, though.
I agree that Frankie does that.
I agree that Frankie, if alcohol was more like Frankie, that would be interesting.
Makes your life fucking rad. Drink Frankie. Guys, we should start a lemonade stand, but it's going to be Franklinade, and it's just going to be fox juice.
You're gonna pee in it. You're gonna pee in it by the end of the first week.
You need to consume my essence to gain my power.
No.
I peed everything I could. Remember when we went camping? You ate my hot dog.
Gross.
You were saying something. I'm ready.
No, it's totally okay. I just had one more thing. One of the most fun moments that I had on the show that surprised me as a player was when I was in the Undershade for the first time with Andolin. I got to play a completely different version of Teddy.
Oh, yeah.
Because everything we had seen up to that point was Teddy affected by the death of his sister, and having Andolin back allowed me the freedom to play Teddy without that responsibility at all, without that weight. And it completely changed how I played the character. I was even remarking to William after that episode was over, I was like, yeah, that's the most I've ever smiled as Teddy on stream.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. It was also super, super fun for me to play Andolin for a multitude of reasons. One, because it was so great to have someone that was that deeply connected to you.
Yeah.
That because seeing yours and Derry's relationship was fucking awesome, and I loved it. What you said earlier about how you split off into twos, kind of you paired off.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It didn't split the group in a way where you can't all behave and communicate together, but it's made really, really dynamic relationships for the Foxes and for you two, and I've really enjoyed seeing that grow and the way y'all are taking those. But coming in as Andolin was fun, just to have someone who knew Teddy so well that Teddy could not necessarily give shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then also playing a character that we had built up for so long, and then finally just there she is. That was really cool for me.
There is one line you had as Andy where it's we don't know how much time we have, and if you want to lie to me, that's cool.
Oh yeah.
And you're just it was simultaneously so let me call you on your bullshit, but also accepting of it, if that's what you need to do, that's cool too, but I know.
Shannon said, also, I just wanted to say, William, you have made some of the most colorful, dynamic NPCs I've ever seen, and the campaign wouldn't be the same without them.
Totally agree.
As true as that is, I want to really, the NPCs really create themselves through William's beautiful, beautiful soul.
Yeah.
They really, they're already in there. William just pulls them out, they're all alive, living their own real lives.
Why watch Legion when you have this?
and then Real Mercenary said that just... that's a credit to just how important Zero Sessions are, all of the Andolin, backstory and stuff. I agree. I mean, I really think we found everything immediately, Zero Session. We molded it and smoothed everything out, but even from the Zero Session,
the bones were all there.
Yeah, it was great.
Also, I guess just to kind of tag on, just because I had said this in our pre-stream and just kind of revisit a point, Frankie was kind of an impulse character for me that I created during Session 0, actually based off of Tanamato. Hello, you're in the chat. I based Frankie off of your kid version of me, and just the determination in that front pose. I was just that kid's fucking cool.
And the flames on the bike.
And the flames on the bike.
Yeah.
But I knew I wanted, kind of returning to your question, Dasani, I knew I wanted to play somebody's sibling because it kind of like Gertie was saying.
I am both.
Right? It's so hard. Like Gary was saying, I think having that sibling relationship really does kind of give at least a base correlation of And at any tabletop game, at any table, you know, it's like your players are the heroes of your story, but it's like they don't always need to be friends, but they do need to be working together. And it's like, but what brings them together and how do they know each other, I think is always an important question to ask in any session zero for, again, not just Kids on Bikes as an RPG, but like for any tabletop game, asking these questions of how they know each other is great. And I think a sibling relationship gives a really strong foundation to build those relationships off of, and for anyone, like, because it could be like, okay, cool, one sibling has one friend and the other sibling has the other friend, and it's not all mutual, but that's now suddenly a way that the party is entirely connected, you know. And like, if it wasn't Frankie, I was actually expecting to play somebody a little bit older, but we didn't have anybody playing kids, you know. So like, I thought I really wanted to have a younger group. So if we weren't all teenagers, I probably would have played somebody like very young adult type
What
character.
if you had played Frankie as Frankie, but just older?
As like a 20-year-old.
That dynamic would have been
so interesting.
I think you would not get away with half the shit you get away with.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you would try stuff, and the adults would actually be like, "I'll just call the police. I'll just get Sandra
Well,
over
granted,
here."
I mean, this is assuming that Frankie would have like sophisticated in terms of just like how he like went about these
It's very-
mischievous adventures, and yeah.
We've already seen so much how like Frankie has kind of like unexpectedly matured over the course, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm also curious to be like, what would be the scaled up version of that? Anyways, we'll see later.
All right, so I have another set of questions from someone. Patrick sent us questions. The first question being, what was your favorite Pappy Fox moment? Patrick played Pappy Fox.
I
Take
mean-
your money.
Take Your Money was great.
Yeah. That was, I mean, the favorite moment was his final moment. Like, that.
Oh, yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
rightly say anything better. But, I mean,
My favorite.
y'all can.
Yeah, my favorite was just the first time that he made something up about Marcus to my face, and I just had to roll with it. Like where he was like, "Oh, you're always bad at lying. You got so many tells," and I was like, I do not. I don't have a jokes. Yeah, all that stuff. And also, I really did love when he said the stuff about Marcus making him want to be a better father, and then like us having like a back and forth, like, no, I can't be the best father because I have you, and that whole stuff. It's like very sentimental, but I liked that a lot, because to me it built on why Marcus and Phoebe are so good. Like, because if that's like one half of one quarter of like where they come from, and Phoebe and Pappy's relationship was really great too. So like just seeing that, it's like, of course this is how they are parents.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
But that was So I liked Patrick forcing me into bits. That was very fun.
It was so much fun to watch too.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was. Yes, it was. It was very gratifying to watch William have to be like, okay, yeah, yes,
Marcus's leg starts twitching.
yeah. I personally, I thought it was. I don't know if it's necessarily my favorite moment. I mean, they have already talked about some of the most interesting moments for Pappy, but I had a very good time watching the intro to that episode when it was just Pappy on his own, responding to the events of the that were going on in the arc without really knowing any of the context for it.
Yeah.
Because it immediately tells you what kind of person he is. I mean, that's one of those moments that like you write into its story or a screenplay or something that tells you immediately, oh, this is a good person with a good heart who is just trying to do, just trying to make other people's lives better.
It's the moment, in every screen where the hero does their thing where they, kill a boar,
Yeah,
the famous book on how to write screenplays, kill the boar. as taught in many college curriculums, save the board, kill the board. Shit.
Well, to be
I'm
fair,
fucking up my own meta.
to be fair, a lot of screenplay writers could do a lot better by killing the boar, if you know what I mean.
Jesus. Oh my
Tired?
God.
I don't get the joke that you're
Because like
making.
boar is like because a lot of screenplays.
Oh, like BORE, like boring.
Right? You just gotta take all the holes that have been bored into your script. You gotta kill the holes which have been bored in your script. You want a complete script.
What was your favorite?
I have two. You kind of touched on them already, but I loved seeing just Pappy Fox's interactions with both Marcus and Phoebe. Just because, yeah, you pretty much already said it, but it just really gave you a feel of like what this family is like, extended past just the four of the Foxes, So yeah, that was really fun. I loved how, he was very flirty towards Phoebe and Andrew, took it, but also, it's just like, could also hold her own, like, hey, don't fucking give my son a gun, or else
Oh my God.
I
Yeah,
want to
sounds
give a
good.
9-year-old son a gun.
Tomato said "This is a gun" was great.
Yeah. And then I have to say, maybe this won't count because it was the episode prior, but like the voicemail,
The voicemail
was so good, and it caught me, Franny, so off guard.
Yeah, we could tell. I love that moment. So we went home and I played that over and over and over because one, it worked out really great, like audio wise, and two, like seeing Franny's face and like the excitement, because she knows Patrick, so she knew like Patrick, like she knew I was planning on having him on the show, kind of knew like maybe who he was gonna play, but like in that moment it was like bah!
Like
it was awesome.
I don't think that was probably the most excited I've been on stream so far. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was a good moment.
Regal Mercenary says, also, I don't know whose idea it was to have the recorded phone call, but it could not have turned out better. It was the day before we were going to be doing the episode. I was talking to Patrick, and I was just like, when do you think you can do the episode? Like, when do you think you can be on the show? I really want to have you. Pappy Fox is a great character. He just sent me like this huge description. All this backstory, like so much stuff, all these ideas, and like how much he like loves the idea of like playing Marcus's dad and that kind of stuff. And it was like so exciting for me because I was like, oh my God, I love this character. And then he was like, but if it doesn't work out, at least like here's an NPC you can use. And I was like, no, like we got to make this work. And I was like, well, like when are you busy? He was just starting up another play. And he was like, okay, from here to here, I'm going to be busy. And it was not. This was on Monday. And the next day we were going to be recording, or like the next week we were going to be recording. So it was like a week and a day away. And I was like, wait, so you're not busy next Tuesday? And he was like, next Tuesday is great. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, I'll be on. I was like, oh my God, can you record something for me? Because I have a stream tomorrow, and I have an idea of how to introduce you. And he was like, oh yeah, sure. And I was like, I just need you to record a voicemail, and send it to Marcus. He was like, cool. And I was in the process of typing exactly what I wanted him to say, not a script, but maybe hit on these points. And then Patrick sent me a voicemail, the sound recording, and he was like, I hope this works. Let me know if you need me to change anything. And it was exactly what you heard. And I was like, okay, great, yeah.
It was also fun getting to see the gameplay of Pappy's perspective of leaving that voicemail, you know, but also because it kind of it was a whole new context. It was also interesting that once you're actually in it at the end, things are slightly different. There's a little more magical hubbub happening. So it's okay, cool. And then having that followed up by the moments of leaving a few more voicemails. I think
or the call. He just ended up calling, and Gertie answered it, and
okay, yeah.
Because when we started that episode, I was like, you just left the voicemail, you killed the boar, you brought it back to the RV, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so it was my idea. I couldn't have imagined it working that well. They all know, because after we went back and listened to the VOD afterwards, I was like, oh my God, it's perfect. I was on cloud nine. And Shannon says, yeah, we all loved Patrick. I agree. Regal Mercenary said probably one of my favorite episodes to date. I absolutely, yes. One of my favorite episodes to watch, one of my favorite episodes to have played.
Yes.
It was just really great. Patrick was a perfect addition to an episode. It was awesome. Yeah. Anything else anybody wants to say on it?
fuck yeah, Patrick.
Great. At the end of the arc, did they actually go back in time with full memories like Little Pete did, or have they gone into a different dimensional world where Little Pete no longer exists? And do they have to go and kill Little Pete all over again, encountering him as he exists in his loop trying to gain power?
We don't have to, but we want to.
I'm not going to answer that for the most part, but they did go back in time. That's all I'm going to say. They are back in time. In fact, the plan for the rest of the show is to chronologically go from the time period we are in now. So literally, it's a year and a half in the past, and we will go from here, and that's where the rest of the show.
Historical fiction.
But we do have memories.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I'll get more into that August 6th. Like I don't want to talk about too much stuff, set some stuff in stone, because some stuff that I've already told you has changed. So don't say too much.
I can't wait to go and make good friends with both Reggie California and Belinda of Belinda's Salads.
I agree. That would be great.
I can't wait. That is my goal for the rest of the
I want
series.
their rivalry to be the central piece.
The central part of the rest of the show. It's about them. Spin-off series.
That's a great question, Tomato. We're going to get to that right now, actually, probably. But wait, Dasani also said something. And Tomato, his ability to, as a performer, to take so much from the story and immerse his own story is inspiring. I agree. He was wonderful, Patrick. Dasani says, oh my god, what if Phoebe comes from a really serious and wealthy family that didn't approve of Marcus, but she married him anyway? That came from from the trash fanfiction part of my brain.
Canon.
Canon,
I kind of like that.
I do like that, and if I use it, thanks. Because I don't have Phoebe's backstory super fleshed out, but
you went to law school.
This is actually a good reminder. If you have an idea for an NPC and you write out, if you create a Kids on Bikes character sheet for them and write a little bit of backstory about how they fit into Bald, we might use them on the show. You can tweet them at us on Twitter. I know William sometimes looks out for them.
Oh yeah, you tweet them to me. Give them to me. Don't send them to HandleStream, either Instagram or on Twitter. Send them to me directly at KWilliamWhite. You can message them to me on Instagram or message them to me on Twitter, because I like to spring them on people, and I like to introduce them without them knowing that they are a character you've made, and then be like, by the way, this person made that character. Big plug for this. Regal Mercenary made Izawa.
Yeah.
So, and Izawa's been getting a lot of play. Jump in now before we have too many fans. Because you end up...
We can't do this forever.
You end up being a huge part of the story.
We already counted. I think at last count we had about 70 NPCs in our world document, and part of that is my fault.
Mine is Cole.
JK, Cole's back doing what they love best, driving a bus.
And here's the no.
Part of that is my fault. I'm so sorry.
It's a real problem. I never expected Izawa to not have a voice, but I think I really loved. Oh, that's true. I took a little bit of liberties. I did. I made Izawa deaf. I did that, but the rest, like the rats, like all that stuff, was Regal Mercenary. I got a big backstory kind of thing for that, but I suppose backstory on that, Izawa was kind of given to me as sort of a replacement villain, to supersede the bullies after they were gone. But I knew I had another idea when I was thinking about how to introduce him, and I hope that was okay, Real Mercenary, because I really liked the character, and I was like, oh, it'd be cool, because I'm such a fucking communist and Marxist and stuff. I'm like, it would be so cool if there was just a kid who just wanted to help everybody and help underserved people, and I don't know.
It was very fun for the first couple episodes because I think we all sort of knew. You even said in one of the episodes where we first introduced Izawa, it seems like Izawa is filling the power vacuum left by the bullies. It was really fun for even basically up to close to the finale for our characters to kind of treat Izawa with suspicion, to kind of like have a little bit of worry that this person wasn't on the level, like wasn't doing what they...
You didn't trust him forever.
No, it literally took, I don't know that we trusted him before the last episode. Or maybe when he was live streaming from the roof of the...
When he didn't get whomped and was kind of helping us out.
Yeah. That was, it was very interesting to play off of that character and sort of discover who they were as we played.
Mm-hmm. It was also kind of fun that, because we had like 18.5, I think it was, roughly, that like the rise of Izawa in the rat race, that kind of became... It was interesting to have like kind of this sort of B storyline that that didn't originate from session 0, so now we're kind of like fusing, kind of grafting it into like the complete storyline. So it's interesting to kind of have like a side story episode to like kind of fuse and graft like audience suggestions into the story as a whole, as well as allowing it to just be gameplay, and like there was a lot of discovery. Like the cafeteria people at Bald High have like a pretty sweet deal.
Unionized, yeah.
and
rectangle pizza for days.
That episode is wild. That episode is wild.
Okay, let's get to more questions. Sam, what was going through your head during the jail cell kill scene? That was from Tomato.
Well, okay, so I will tell you exactly. So scenes like that with Teddy almost never are something that I'm planning on doing. They almost always come to me like in the moment. Like I knew the plan was to try to get Dake back to the jail cell and like interrogate him and all this kind of stuff. And when it was Teddy that pulled him back and Teddy was alone, like it all kind of clicked into place of like, well, okay, let me back up a little bit.
Okay.
So I talked a little bit about this. One of the central features of Teddy's character is that he has run away from his problems for a long time, or has consistently used that as a means of escaping things that he wasn't ready to deal with. And one of the other pieces of his character that I've played with for a long time is the idea that Teddy isn't necessarily a good person, that Teddy is sort of like trying to evaluate within himself whether he is good or not. And that is something I've sort of discussed with William. It's sort of tied into the gameplay a little bit, but a really, really big moment for that, and I don't know if it necessarily seemed like it during the stream, was in the Undershade when Teddy was talking to Andolin, and Andolin told him, Teddy said, "Oh, I killed Little Pete. This is all my fault. I don't think I'm a good person. All this kind of stuff." And then Andolin told him essentially, "Listen, if we aren't doing everything we can to stop these people, then they're just going to keep hurting people." And I think that is Andolin is one of the only characters on the show that I think Teddy trusts without reproach. I kind of built Andolin as this character that Teddy has always looked up to and has always trusted. And so when she said that, I think it almost immediately cleared Teddy's mind of that guilt. It was the idea of like, okay, fine, Andolin says it's okay, then I'm going to do what I need to do to protect my friends and protect the city. So when we got to that moment with Dake in the jail cell, all I could think of was that moment with Andolin in the Undershade being like, listen, it is not a matter of whether, what is good or evil. It is a matter of like, protecting the people we love and all of that kind of stuff. That is something that I think will continue to come up. Teddy's struggling with whether or not he's a good person. And I don't think this is the last that we've heard about that particular scene from Teddy's perspective.
Oh,
And we do have, Dasani said, this is a later question. I'm going to get back to the other questions as well. But Dasani said, what is it going to be like for Teddy to see somebody that he murdered?
You'll have to find out.
Which, like,
If we do.
if we get there.
If we do.
Also, just to same vein, but that's a really compelling question. A good thing for us to like explore. Shannon, are they physically the same age as they were a year and a half ago, or as they were at the end of the episode just before the time travel? Parentheses, if that's something you don't want to be public, that's fine too. No, I'll tell you, they are young again. They're younger.
Will you confirm that Teddy is as well? Was he able to be sure that he was in his body from a year and a half ago? Because my first thought was he's in CJ's body. So
Interesting, cool. I'm not gonna say anything about Teddy.
Cool.
Yeah.
But the rest of us, we are sure that we are ourselves from a year and a half
you are
ago.
yourselves a year and a half ago, and
Physically.
Yeah, and I don't.
So what's it like being an adult? How's that +1 grit and +1 brain?
It goes down real smooth.
Regal Mercenary said, "My heart would break if Declan Harini and no one else remembers what happened." Yeah, that's pretty heartbreaking. Regal Mercenary, spoilers for Chuck. It would be like the series ending of Chuck.
Okay.
I've never seen that show.
Yeah,
but
It's a lot.
But that
No.
sounds like it
Kidding.
sucks. No.
Yeah, what kind of show would do that?
Wait, what would be like that? Whatever. I've seen that.
Yeah, Regal Mercenary. Someone else has seen Chuck. Shannon has seen Chuck. Rumor saying I never expected. Oh no, that was about Izawa. Never expected Izawa not to. Yeah. Wow. Okay. I went. I'm glad I went back. Oh my gosh. Okay. Still going forward. A bunch of stuff from Splubble.
Who's
Right?
that? Read their comments. They sound so cute.
Regal Mercenary expect 5% royalties for Izawa. Hey, if we put Izawa on a shirt, I'll give you $1 million. No, I don't have $1 million. But thank you, Regal Mercenary. I'll talk to you forever. And a good friend of ours. And Marcus, smoking weed. That's blah, 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 blah. What is it going to be like?
Blah, 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 smoking weed.
Love at first sight. Okay, on the note of killing, correct me if I'm recalling this wrong, but Frankie was going to kill little Pete in the clinic, right? Would he have gone through with it if he was able?
Good question.
This is actually an interesting point in time that like I kind of thought a lot about, and kind of also breaching the subject of what sort of things did we discuss planning for the finale that we didn't realize was the finale. I've lost privileges. I'm not certain at that point in time. I think where Frankie's headspace was, bringing myself back, I think Frankie was ready to do it, and I think Spencer as a player at that time was more than ready to do it and ready to play and explore the weight of doing that and the ramifications of having done that. But kind of what I was saying though is now that and I played Frankie as being like gun, want gun, you know, but I don't think Frankie could have shot to kill at any point in the finale. This was a point I stressed, and I kind of saw in my head. I'm going on a tangent. I think it would have just been very compelling for Frankie to have been like, you know, looking down the crosshair and then like not pulled the trigger after like pushing that way. That's kind of not exactly how it ended up planning out, you know. But that's kind of the moment that was in my head was, and I kind of saw this picture in my imagination that informs my perspective of who Frankie is, and that I see Frankie being like, yes, gun, yeah, shoot him, yeah, gun, yeah, shoot him, and then finally looking at another person and being like, I can't do this. And I think Frankie has kind of had that trace of empathy and humanity, like when we discovered the bullies were dead, and like even in terms of like wanting to befriend Taryn, even when all of us are like, Taryn sucks, you know. And I think that's kind of been a part of Frankie's character, is I think Frankie does have that kind of empathetic, humane streak. So yeah, I think Frankie would have gotten right up to it and then have not followed through and would have tried to find, and at which point Spencer as a player would have employed some intuitive fuckery to find a plan B.
Yeah, and Jenna says that's about where I thought your head was at, but just wanted to get a little peek behind the curtains. I got another question here. This is still from Patrick. What character choices surprised each player and GM? So what were things that y'all did that surprised each other or me?
I mean,
and things that I did that surprised you.
Not Frankie. The moment we were just talking about with Teddy killing Dake at the end, that very much surprised me. I somehow didn't see that coming at all. I thought it was great, but yeah, that was a big surprise for me. Also, like the when Frankie and Teddy both went to the room to kill Little Pete. That really surprised me because that surprised me, and I like felt weird about it for a moment because I was like, why are they leaving Derry to go take out one of the bullies? And I was like, that like this didn't feel like the way that like any of the bullies' story should end. And I love where it all went, but like in that moment, I was like not expecting that to resolve without Derry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, Jonas created all of the bullies
Except for
Little Pete.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I created Little Pete on accident.
What?
Well, when I was introducing Big Rob in the first episode, because you created Big Rob, and I was like, when I was introducing the bikes being there, I thought it would be interesting if there was a second bike.
Oh.
Instead of just like one bike alone, and I couldn't get to the bullies fast enough to figure out what the other names were.
You just made one up?
So I just made up Little Pete.
That's so funny.
Honestly, the contrast of that first episode, Big Rob and Little Pete, is still like some of my favorites.
Little Pete stayed true to, like, if you go back and watch the first episode 1, This Is an Axe, and you like hear the way Little Pete talks, or even like when Little Pete was talking to Gertie in the library, and like was like, hey, like, because I built that up to seem like Taryn was in charge, but then Little Pete was like, everybody like take an aisle. Like Little Pete was the one that was like, we're doing this, and in that moment, like Taryn was just like muscle for it.
And it's funny how much, like, I don't know if we talked about this on stream, or just behind the scenes, but we would joke, and it's honestly, it still seems comical now when you're watching it, and I think you even commented that like when you go back and watch it, and like you think of that as like a person with the capacity to enact their malice, it's just like, oh shit, this is like really horrifying.
Yeah. Any other character things that y'all did that it surprised me that Gertie well, one, of course, I already said this. I was surprised you opened the chest. But it surprised me that you got inside of it and then just closed it on yourself. I was like, what?
With CJ in there, right?
With CJ in there, yeah. That was very surprising for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked that a lot.
Was there a moment, William, during the finale that we as a group surprised you with our brilliant plan?
You want to take a moment to think about it? Because I have something that surprised me real quick.
This is also... Oh, never mind.
Derry going to break Taryn out... Well, not break, but pay her...
Bail Taryn out.
Bail her out of jail was one of the most interesting, like, small decisions that I've ever seen on the show. Like, you'd sort of set up that Derry was, like... interested in having Taryn as a friend or whatever, but like
guilty. Yeah, there's like a good amount of guilt.
But it was super interesting, and then to see that relationship evolve from there. Yeah, and like having Derry be like, yeah, it's like, will you teach me how to like defend myself? Opened up like an entire new side of Taryn's character, I think, and like, I mean, we all played off of that differently. I don't think Gertie liked Taryn even in the finale.
Because there was that moment where you were so like really snotty to her, and then like I asked Taryn, I was just like, can you just like chill? But it was like, that was great, because then you were like, yeah, I'm really sorry. That's a good example of another thing that surprised me, because I was like, oh, okay. Because usually whenever an NPC tries to get Gertie to do anything, you just like, the foxes just kick my ass. You just love kicking my ass.
But Karen was right.
Yeah. Gertie went a little too
Any other surprises that people want to talk about?
I can just make specific moment, but anything Franny does as Gertie, like it's a very common experience that like you'll dive into a choice. Like the one that comes to mind is like how impassioned Gertie was at like the jail cell, like kind of when all that was happening. I don't remember the exact circumstances, but you were just chewing Officer Bing out and being like, "Oh yeah,
yeah.
my
Yeah,
brother,"
yeah.
and just like, and like, I guess this is less of choices that Gertie makes, but more like how you, Franny, as a player, like will dive into things that I'll constantly be like, oh shit, that's I need to get back on that level. Okay, cool, you know, and it'll like snap me to attention, and that's a great experience as a fellow player.
I think a lot of the time, Franny, like you like drive a lot of like the investment in character. Like the way you get into Gertie is inspiring to, I think, like me personally as like, I mean, pull back the curtain a little bit. I don't act. I'm not an actor. This is my first time doing anything.
What? No.
And like having Franny on the show and seeing you like just like be Gertie all the time has been very like it's been a big part of feeling comfortable enough to really like make crazy decisions as Teddy.
Yeah.
So.
By the way, I meant the what, as in like I think you've been doing a phenomenal.
I know.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see you do anything with scripted material to see if you can pull that off. But you are incredible on this show.
Yes.
No.
Very
Don't hire me for that.
Hire him as an editor
Hire me as an editor or a writer.
or as a writer.
Or let me come GM a game for you.
I think two smaller surprises for me was finding out how freaking cool Declan was when he had this tree house with everything in it.
That was a surprise to me too.
We piled on that hard. That was so
Whole
much fun.
character.
Yeah, love Declan and still full of surprises. I'm sure more things will unfold. And then just the moment on the phone with Gertie and Harini where Harini was like, I want to date you. It was very cool.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Cool. Let's move on a little bit here. Regal Mercenary said, William, how did it feel giving the plot in a sense to the players in the last episode? And do you think you would have ever explore this again? How did it feel giving the plot in a sense? So basically them getting to the point where like either I explained it or everything would be a mystery. Is that like kind of
I'm interpreting that question of like how did it, because like because for that last episode, like, and I think you said this on stream, and like we started talking about it, how like we were planning then pulling things out on you.
Yes.
You know,
I think
so,
that's
like,
what.
How did that feel? Like,
oh, I see what you're saying. Oh yeah, handing the plot over to them. Yes. And do you think you would ever explore this again? I absolutely would. It was great for me. I think we would need to iron out a couple things. Moreover, like I think y'all were so set on a thing that like when something did get in your way, it like there was like a block for a moment. Which is like what the contingency tokens were for, but you only used 2 of them. So maybe it's just like remembering to use those if we do like something like that again. But no, it was awesome. It was like very fun, and I had planned to bring the Fox parents and Declan and Harini into the finale as like there's no way we can let you do this alone kind of thing. So like to have you all do that for me was awesome.
Which we didn't ask them if we could use any NPCs at all.
Yeah.
We just decided that we did because of course they would say yes if we
of course they wouldn't let us do this on our own.
I just want to say real quick, the chat that we all had to discuss, because William didn't know about anything we were planning. The chat was called Plot to Murder William, which I can't wait for the FBI who's like watching all of our social media presences now.
It could be Plot to Cuddle William.
Wow, that's funny.
There.
Wow.
Someone needs to silence their phone.
Whose phone is still on vibrate?
That was
Is it this?
That was my phone. Destroy it.
Okay. Continuing on, which is a good question. Type of way the episodes. Also, you'll have to forgive me for asking for refreshers, but where did Taryn end up again? She's probably my favorite NPC, and I would love to see more of her. We don't know where Taryn ended up. Taryn was punching the hell out of the lawn gnome and stuff with Frankie.
The big one, right?
The big one. The big one. And yeah, that's it.
I'll say this now. I think the big one as like a Google parallel.
Yeah.
Like I think that's just the fucking worst. You know, when we're stuck to it, it's like you can't like be like, oh yeah, the big one would be like, what? Like you can call something Boogle and understand it, but the big one is like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know,
It's ridiculous.
That was such a fun choice that I'm such a stupid fun choice that I'm so glad that we stuck with.
Yeah. No, I feel the same way. Yeah, so you will learn. It was not stated. It doesn't need to be a refresher, Shannon. Don't worry, you're not missing. You so far, every time you think you've missed something, you super haven't. You are just like on those plot hooks. you're like on them, and you're like, wait a minute, like this hasn't been resolved, and like you're right.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we will see more of Taryn. Taryn, we will see more of. Taryn will return.
Taryn will return.
That's the singer's. Taryn will return.
Let's what state is she in? I won't tell you that. But thank you for asking. Dasani, if y'all did a time skip where everyone was an adult but Frankie, who's a teenager, where do you think everybody would be? This is so interesting. We have talked about a future episode somehow where all of them are playing adults, adult versions of themselves. So,
I don't want to say too much because if we do it, I kind of want to surprise y'all.
Yeah, but we were also very interested in that.
Yeah. I will say Derry will continue to try to get strong, and it might pay off better than it has.
Cool. Teddy will be in therapy.
If we do a time skip, I don't know about teenager, but we thought about it like as us all adults, and I kind of, if we want to see a time skip, I kind of want to see Frankie like in a wheelchair, and I can see that kind of like young dumb stuntman
from an accident.
you know, and like how now that you no longer like, you know, you've climbed up too many windows and fallen out only to climb back up, like, and playing that character, no longer having that option to approach scenarios as, you know, like, and how does that, you know, and I think that's the adult Frankie I would want to explore.
Interesting.
I don't know. I mentioned to William that I think it would be cool if like Gertie ended up working for NASA.
Oh.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Or either NASA or as an archaeologist.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Or get a pirate ship and go sail.
Can you be the archaeologist that creates Jurassic Park, and then we play Jurassic Park? Wait, hang on. I still have the corrupted CD.
Oh my god, that's right.
The semi-corrupted CD, which
We don't. Back in time now.
I don't have it.
No.
But Tiresias does.
Thanks, Nightbot.
Thank you, Nightbot.
Nightbot, you are the pillar of stability, which allows me to sleep at night. Stability, you know, like when you have a staple to your pillow to help you sleep at night.
Plot to murder William, ha ha ha. I just loved when everyone realized little Pete wasn't in the large gnome, but at least they don't have to deal with fixing the gnome. The gnome was destroyed, but they went back in time. I was going to say this when you were talking about like your decision to kill Dake. It's like, to me, it's like so warranted in a way. Like, don't kill anyone, but in a way, because like when you beat me in the charm roll, I knew I had to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
But I was like so deliberate.
Yeah.
About like Dake's last move was to set you up for failure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't think so. I don't think any of Teddy's moves where he has done, I mean, where he has shot Dake or where he has, you know, tried to kill Little Pete, none of those have ended well for Teddy. Like, none of those were like good choices that good things happened from, really. I mean, I get he got Edelin back in the end, but like that was more because Teddy trusted his friends and like believed in himself than it was any other darker impulse that he had.
Shannon said, "Looks like Ames, Iowa reclaims their title because of the line."
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the lawn gnome was going down no matter what. It doesn't matter if he was in there. Like,
it's not
the
Ames,
moment
by the
we
way.
were planning the finale, I was just like, the first thing I wanted was, I want to ram the gnome. I want him. It was going down.
It's in Canada now. They
Canada has the second
listen.
largest lawn gnome.
There's a lot of conflicting information out there. Don't let the just do some research. There's so many lawn gnomes, giant lawn gnomes, and they keep getting bigger, and I keep finding new ones.
Well, we did just turn back time, and maybe it's a different reality. Let's just make it like 70 feet tall.
Cool. Well, we didn't say how big it was. We just said it was
Over
40.
30, like over 40 feet. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
always just the biggest.
Yeah.
Okay, we have one final question from Patrick, and then that'll wrap up all the questions we have prepped. So if you have more questions,
Say them
ask
now.
them. If you say them all at once, I'm afraid. Well,
I have
go
one
for it.
specific question for
Ask
you.
them
Willie.
now or temporarily
It
hold
will
your
be quick,
peace.
probably.
Let us Midwesterners have this title. We need it. Hey, Shannon, I think we said it on the show before, but Jonas and I are also Midwesterners, so we agree. Leave the title to us, Sam.
Although I'm also half Canadian, so
It's
I
true.
win
Jonas
either way.
wins either way. Yeah.
Jonas plays both sides.
Which is just like when the Raptors played the
God, don't
Warriors,
sports us.
like, a
Don't
little bit
sports
ago.
us.
I don't care about sports, but I do care when I win.
The
either way.
Raptors win.
I don't care about sports, so when you said the Raptors played the, my mind auto-filled with kazoos, and I was imagining, like, high school choirs of, like, Velociraptors playing recorders going...
The question we got from Patrick, the final one, was: can the cast take us inside how they planned the big final event?
We kind of started going on that. So it all started with a little group chat called The Plot to Murder William, which somebody smart and funny and attractive made that title.
Was it you?
Which, no, that's all of us. Let's be real.
Yeah, let's be real. So that's
Yeah,
it?
I mean, we brainstormed for a week. It was like front loaded and then back loaded. So there was like we got a lot of ideas out at the beginning, and then like 3 days I think before the stream, we were like, okay, now let's like actually pare down what do we want to do. What is our like action plan? We ended up at least attempting most of the things that we planned on actually doing. But it didn't go exactly like the way that we necessarily expected it to.
No.
I also feel like I'll say this. I think whenever we do return to something like this, I think it's mandatory that like we need to meet up in meet space. to
Yeah,
discuss
we
this,
weren't
which
able
we
to
weren't
do
able
that.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like we there are a lot of times I feel like we're kind of running around in like semantic circles.
Yeah.
You know, where like ideas were being shared, but we weren't like stopping to be like, let's just choose plan A and move on. You know. So I felt like our plan went exactly according to plan up until we like
Started
Dake.
doing it.
And basically, our plan reached. I feel like our plan reached. All right, we take out Dake, and then Dake will tell us where Little Pete was, and that was kind
That was
of
the
sum
plan.
of
Get
it.
information from Dake, eliminate him as a threat, and then get information about Little Pete so we can... Because we didn't know how to locate or deal with Little Pete at all,
Yes.
so we needed information for that. So really our plan only went up to getting that from Dake.
Yes.
And I appreciate the not playing like meta with this, because I know several of you, if not all of you, were pretty sure that you thought Little Pete was in the lawn gnome. I know that was that was a conversation Sam and I had at one point, where Sam literally just came up to me and said, "I think Little Pete's in the lawn gnome."
And do you want to tell them what I thought was also inside the lawn gnome?
I don't remember.
I was
40-foot tall
thinking
Krolum.
no, I was my like headcanon was that Pete was inside the lawn gnome, and the lawn gnome was built as tall as it was to enshrine a giant telephone broadcasting system or some sort of like something like that.
To make his powers larger.
Yeah,
Like,
and that
to
was what was amplifying the womp out across the town.
Which is kind of cool because, I mean, retroactively, we can look back and be like, well, Pete was caught in a time loop, and that's the kind of wild shit that in like a time loop plot line where like they had time to like set future plans up for success.
Right.
You know, like. Okay, headcanon. You know, Little Pete built the giant lawn gnome.
Well, we don't know. We still
the lawn
don't
gnome's
know.
been there since before the town,
Yeah,
Which is
which is very weird.
yeah.
very weird and something I need to.
So my personal off that, my personal headcanon theory is that there are actual little fairy red cap gnomes in the forest of Bald that have left the lands of human folk for some time.
And that's what they sound like.
This is what they sound like. Declan is a quarter gnome, actually.
Declan the Halls.
Declan is on.
I don't know why that just came to me.
So, anyways, join us for Arc 5. Declan, King of the Gnomes. Electric Boogaloo.
Anything else? Was there anything that you didn't use, like plan wise?
We didn't put Dake in the water tower, but we did talk about it.
That's why you asked me that. Oh my god, that didn't even occur to me.
Did we say on stream that was something? Okay, yeah, we were like prepared to put either Dake or Little Pete in the water tower if we needed to.
Wow.
Like within the water tower? The idea
To
being...
drown them.
Which I always imagined it having like space at the top and not being totally full until it happened a moment. I was like, oh no, wait, that would kill them.
Yeah.
I was kind of picturing, like, if you've seen A Quiet Place, how they have the corpse.
It's fine. I'm just not gonna.
It's exactly one scene where they are inside a corn silo, and that's the visual I was gonna evoke. Anyway, so the moral of the story is, it's okay. You can come back now.
Yeah, you can come
that was
back.
it. Have you ever seen the inside of a corn silo, Jonas?
Yeah.
Then that's all I said.
Have you?
Okay. I think so.
Oh.
Well, a grain silo.
I was with
Yeah.
you. I was
Silo.
picturing this person would have to tread water for an extended period of time,
Yeah.
but they would be able to breathe.
That's what I was imagining.
And okay. So, anything else anyone wants to say about your plan?
I'll kind of tab on that. That just kind of show how it kind of shaped is that we detaining was kind of part of the strategy, I guess, and what do we do? Because if we're trying to get to Little Pete and Dake is the way we get to it, it was kind of okay, cool, So the idea of using the water tower kind of got phased out in favor of, because we started discussing fortifying the prison, and having which we kind of used, in terms of creating I guess rendezvous points, that we could be okay, cool, if in terms of trying to plan with blank spaces, as let's leave that point. So if we need to regroup, we can do it there.
Mm-hmm.
The time reset thing was something we barely we talked about momentarily, but it wasn't part of our plan until the episode.
Yeah.
Until shit started going real bad.
That was always a contingency plan we had. We discussed in the chat that we...
Did we?
Yeah. We were if this doesn't work, we will go back in time.
But we didn't plan for that, because if BB hadn't been able to get back to Teddy, then it wouldn't have worked.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
Well, you weren't originally going to be at the prison either.
Well,
The jail.
I kind of was.
Sort of. Yeah. Well, so the original the first moments, the intention was that we would lead Dake, or we thought we would find Dake in town center, lead him away in a car that he thought housed Derry, Gertie, Frankie, and Teddy, but only had Derry and Gertie. And then we would cut to what Frankie and Teddy were doing, which would be probably involving the prison or the center. It didn't work out that way, but that was the intended setup. Yeah.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We got another question here from Regal Mercenary. How much of bringing back Teddy at the end was planned, and how much was emotional spur of the moment? That was for 2 months, if not a little bit longer, leading up to this whole everything we did. I have been having conversations with a couple people about my feelings on killing any of the main characters, and I was struggling with how to do that. Well, because I knew the ending was going to end with Teddy going away and not being able to continue on as he was, and so I was sort of how can I do that, because you've built up so much good relationships together, and I that's really painful to think about taking that away and not seeing what you do next, especially if you're not in a completely dire situation, and all these things where it's just going through my head of how does a person choose to kill a character? If I was writing this, would this be satisfying? Why would I do this? And that kind of thing. I mean, because I'm not writing it, but I'm there are plans, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kept going over and over and over in my head. And I was like, well, I want the circumstances to feel tense. And I want it to feel like they can die if it comes to that, which who knows if it will anymore. I don't know how dire circumstances are going to be. But it just like never felt right to me because you're all kids. And that would hit you so hard that not only would it fundamentally change because of, one of the characters would be gone, but it would fundamentally change the dynamic of your group, the dynamic of the way that you play your characters, the growth of your character, which would all be very interesting to explore. But I felt like we hadn't gotten everything I wanted out of this group of characters. I felt like I wanted to see more. I wanted to see like something lighthearted. I wanted to see Mom Strength do a show and like
Mom Strength playing prom. Son.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's a good idea.
But I wanted to see all of these moments and I mean I get that some media can be like that want for the future is what makes a character's death so compelling. Because you feel like their story isn't done, and it rips at you, and that's really compelling too. Which is why I said in the finale what I said. So I had come to that conclusion like months ago. It's like I'm going to take Teddy away, but he's gonna come back if everybody gives a piece of themselves to him, and it needed to be them holding each other in the end. That was the contingency. That was like what it needed to be, everybody, all of the characters being like together to make that work. And I think one of you, it might have been Frankie in the episode, even said like, can't we just give pieces of it might have been Gertie too. Can't we just give
I think it was Frankie, but to CJ.
Yeah, can't we just give pieces of ourselves to...
Because you had like that eyebrow of like, oh.
Yeah. So it was just like, did not feel completely right, but maybe character deaths never do. And part of the interesting factor of playing a tabletop game as a storytelling device is that character deaths sometimes don't feel good. Like it can actually feel really bad. But literally I was like, it's my story. And I don't want Teddy to be gone. So fuck it. And I knew he was gonna come back. I knew I was going to do it as like an after credits thing. So because I wanted us to be able to sit there and then like have all of that buildup of like tension and then just complete release. So I knew a while beforehand to answer that question in a really long roundabout way. But I knew a while beforehand. It was not spur of the moment, but like it really paid off seeing like how much it meant to all of you, seeing Teddy go and then having him back. But there was a moment of opening the next arc with bringing Teddy back, but I was like, no.
That would have been tough.
We need to go into like we need to finish this season knowing exactly like that all of these characters are coming back.
But our characters don't know.
Yes.
Yep.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I hope we can milk that for a moment.
I also completely thought I thought I was going to play Andalin like that. I completely thought that the setup was going to be okay. That's it. You know, this is what I've done with Teddy. I really liked Gertie's moment in the episode of turning to Teddy and being like, "Aren't you even gonna like try?" Was because I had sort of as a player. I mean, William had sort of broached the idea of character death, and add towards the finale. I mean, we were starting to put the pieces together of like, okay, Teddy is back because of CJ, and CJ is on their last legs. I mean, they're literally breaking apart. So what does that mean for Teddy if CJ were to go away? You know, and CJ is the source of the bully's power. So I was sort of as a player ready for Teddy to be gone, to finish out his character. And you, Franny, you as Gertie turning to me and being like, "Aren't you even going to try?" Like completely broke me out of that, and I was like, "Yeah, oh shit, of course, yeah, of course, Teddy's going to try to like keep being here with his friends.
Yeah.
I felt as a player, like that last half hour, I just kind of felt numb and being like, Teddy's gonna die, you know? And I was kind of like,
I really wanted to
I mean,
fight it,
I
but I was like,
definitely
there's no way.
Yeah.
like, I feel like we didn't have enough, like, you know, like, we didn't do enough side quests to get the good ending, you know? It's kind of a little bit of how I felt.
I mean, it was so weird for me as a player because, like, I wasn't accepting it. I think I was.
Yeah.
I think watching back, I think I was in denial because I was like, "Wait, what's going on?" And like, because everyone else was already like pretty somber and like, and me, Franny was like, "Wait, what? No."
Well, yeah, because they were all
No.
hugging Teddy, and I had to like ask you like twice, like, "Are you hugging Teddy?"
Well,
Like,
I just decided to take that on as Gertie because I was just like, "You're not going anywhere."
I completely agree. I loved so much when you were like, "Aren't you gonna fight this? Like, aren't you gonna do something?
Aren't you gonna fight for us?
Aren't you gonna
Like
fight for
we
us?"
fought for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
If we want to talk about moments that surprised us,
Yeah.
that one.
Cool.
I kind of want to tag on in terms of discussing in the nature and form of tabletop games and character death. You know, it's because the thing to understand is that when a character dies, the player does not. You know, so I think in terms of weaving together,
If you die in the game,
if you die in
real life.
real life. But it's like it's also the awkward phase of introducing a new character and being like, this is now the fourth member of our party because reasons, which from a strictly narrative perspective can feel forced and uncomfortable, so like I'm kind of floating in this kind of void of like, okay, cool, but how, I like the idea of establishing characters who can take the place of that. So thinking that, trading Teddy for Andy is a narrative moment which has a lot of weight, but still is kind of an organic fusion, and like I also think that would have been a very interesting and totally viable storyline that would have been like, hey, I'm new character McNewbie, popping up. And kind of, so I think in tabletop, I guess my point in a larger sense is like, I think it's interesting to have kind of characters at the ready or like have that kind of secondary strata of characters who are narratively tied to the party who like can kind of take up that mantle for us as players. Shit, there's something else I want to say. I lost it. Never mind.
Okay. But we have a real mercenary. What about Gertie's future sight in case of catastrophic meltdown, like the first time it was used?
We kind of discussed that kind of back in terms of the plot to Murder William. In the same way that we touched upon it, and we didn't need to dive too deep in talking about it because between Future Sight and between Chronokinesis, we had more than one like emergency oh shit buttons that we could press in the face of catastrophic failure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of why we didn't feel the need to talk too deeply on it because it's like we had more than one option to like roll back the clock, essentially.
Okay. We gotta like burn through questions now. Sorry.
Lightning round.
Yeah, kind of, but like on the note of Teddy, how far in advance of the reveal was Teddy's whole actually being dead thing planned? I planned that after directly in the middle of the first session. Like session 1, this is an axe. That was going along. As soon as like the establishment of like the eyes and the shadow place and all this stuff, I left that episode with the idea, and then like I knew since then. Mm-hmm. So that's like the first time I knew for sure that Teddy was dead, and that would be a point of plot like hooking was directly after session 1.
I want to tack on, I think, a related question. How long did you know that CJ was in the chest?
Ooh, good question.
I knew CJ was in the chest when you opened it.
Okay. Did you have a different idea of what was in there before?
I had like 7 different ideas and I was having such a hard, because we built it up so much that I was having such a hard time thinking of like what the payoff would be. Because, like, I mean, there was that idea of, like, one of my first ideas was that it was going to be CJ's clothes that had their initials like etched into them, and that would lead you to their partner. And when I say first ideas, I mean like a long time ago. But then you
So you knew it was CJ before we met Tiresias.
But then you went to Tiresias first, and I was like. I was like, what do I do? Because there's no reason for you to.
Wait, so we created Tiresias, right? So did you just like when we created them decide that they made the most sense to be CJ's partner?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So like you were. I mean, like I don't.
You knew CJ had a partner.
I didn't want you to just be going to like a psychic or whatever.
Right.
I was like that person has to be more important to. I don't. Most of the time, I never want you to just be like going like, here's a random NPC. So yeah, that was like. Yeah, the moment you open the chest, I just like made a decision because I'd kind of been building up to that one, but I was like, I don't know, is this the right idea? Is this the right one? And I think someone in chat, what confirmed it for me was like in chat on one of the episodes, somebody said, "I bet CJ's in the chest," and I was like, if someone is coming to that conclusion, then I have built up that could be the choice.
Yeah.
So that solidified it for me. I was like, that's it. That's what it is. Because like you should be able to figure stuff out. It shouldn't just be like, oh, that's what you think it is? Well, no, it's this. And then like I swish off to the side. Like who cares about that kind of writing? Like if I want people to be able to like see things coming, but I also want to be able to surprise people. So whoever said that in the chat, you if you are still watching the show, just know that you were the one who put CJ in the chest. That was
terrible
your
person.
Doing. Okay.
Also, like, just again, real quick to touch base with the audience, like, if you haven't gotten the message yet, the story is malleable to your hands, you know, like everything related to Izawa, the chest, like, audience feedback
Silence
is
your phone,
having. That
whoever.
wasn't me. I was hitting the thing. But like you have
The phone is vibrating.
input.
Silence it.
I don't feel this at all, and it's right there.
We can hear it.
Also, like, I mean, I think we would all appreciate, like, I'm just going to throw out there that I know we have all of you in the chat live right now, but, like, go ahead, like, go back. When this goes on YouTube, like, drop a comment there, because when you drop a comment there, like, this Twitch chat, that doesn't get kept a record of. But when you leave it on YouTube, you're leaving something for other people to find, that you're sharing your opinions, that they can be like, yeah, I agree with. You can hype your friends, you can hype anybody else coming at, and it's your stamp of approval, if you will.
And we read all of that stuff.
Yeah.
We have 3 more questions to burn through fast.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Arc 3, I like cast chats are my favorite episodes. Thanks for listening. Arc 3 had a larger focus on Derry's parents. Was there any different angle you wanted to tackle with Derry's mom?
I mean, I will say, once it was brought up, I wanted to, and still want to, and still will, actually talk about their plans to leave Bald. Because, regardless of how much they might remember, they were at least probably thinking about it at the time that we're back-ins. And, Derry has a leg up on that now. So, that is something that we didn't have the time or space to really delve into, because it was dropped during the climax of everything. So that's one thing that I would have liked to have and would still like to explore.
Yeah. Yep. And as far as my plans on that, like I said, I didn't think things were going to move as fast as they were. So I was expecting that to be more involved, to have more conversations about that. But things kept hitting and taking off. And you all almost completely just dropped every other plot hook to focus directly on the bullies and the shadow place, and that of course worked out, and of course you would for the most part, but
it's interesting thinking about Avengers Endgame has happened. That's old news. Now I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about it's kind of like you see horror movies who hype somebody as the lead and then kill them off in the first 15 minutes, and it's kind of like, okay, cool, this is what it's about. Then you just do it, you get it out of the way, and then it's about
what's next.
Now we're stuck talking to each other and dealing with what has happened,
Also, William has said in the past that Kids on Bikes system makes it really easy to kill characters but we would never get that emotional depth if that were to happen. Yeah, I play really fast and loose with the combat system in this. If you ever want to play Kids on Bikes and you want to do it like more true to that, go
Any
ahead.
fight roll can kill you.
Yeah,
You,
any-
the attacker, or the attackee.
Yeah, like I've seen GMs, and I'm on a Kids on Bikes Discord where like people will come in and say like, well, just played my first game of Kids on Bikes. I went to like punch my friend in the shoulder and I killed him.
Yep.
You've done that.
Like they make a joke and they're like, I just want to hit him, or someone's like, oh, my friend's asleep, I want to slap him to wake him up, and it's like, okay, oh no, I killed my friend. Like I've seen so many stories like that.
I'm just picturing, and I slept while asleep, and the whole face just goes, and it's just like, get the fist face. That's a really gross image.
Yeah.
That's something you see like at 2 a.m. on Adult Swim, you know, when it's like, why are these commercials targeted at people who like acid?
Dasani says, is Gertie going to work hard to get the thruple back together?
If they even broke up. If they even don't all remember.
They have to go to mini golf.
They have to mini golf.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't want anything to be forced.
Yeah.
But like,
If they don't remember, are you gonna like?
well, they do remember.
I don't know.
We don't know yet.
Oh, fuck.
But you know who
Oh man!
It's like, if
I was
they
under the
do-
impression we all remembered what happened to us. So I mean, that would be heartbreaking if Declan and Harini, if I had to start over.
Can you imagine if only one of them remembers?
Can you imagine if that one is the person that they called at the mini golf rink who just like wasn't affected by any of it?
Okay, well, so yeah, if the case is that they all remember,
It's easy.
then like that's
Nothing
easy.
changed.
Nothing changes. But yeah, if they don't remember,
Like you have to build those friendships and relationships
me,
up from scratch.
Franny would like. I really want to get back to where they were, but I don't think Gertie is gonna. Again, I don't think Gertie would force anything.
It would be likely that Gertie would end up acting exactly the same, at least as she did towards Harini, because that very much
Yeah.
could have been like we were together and we're supposed to be, and like I don't know how to talk to you.
Right, but I like, and as far as Declan goes, I mean, Declan's such a badass. He's so cool. Like, I don't think Gertie.
He's so hot.
Like, and all of us, he's so hot. But Gertie, I think would like. Well, all of us would want Declan to be part of the group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like integrating him back in.
It's funny
Wait,
because
really quick, Tomato said 50 Gert dates. 50 Gert dates is very funny. Okay, yeah, we get it. You can come back and be Shay whenever you want, all right?
Whenever you want. Just show up on a Tuesday.
Also, shit, maybe a little late for this, but pause in the chat. We're gonna be doing several quick one shots. So if there's things you may want to see in there, like give a quick shout
We'll
out.
hit that at the end. Just okay. Last call for questions, like really quick, and then we're gonna wrap up because we're gonna give it a moment. Any final questions you have, we're just gonna like plow through them, and if you don't have any questions, then we're gonna say goodbye. Do any of you have
I had
questions?
anything for you. I asked the chess one that I wanted to.
I have a question. Do we know, this is more of a clarification while people are asking questions, do we know that the low voice underneath Little Pete's voice and the bullies, do we know for sure that was CJ and or the Powers? Or is that something that is still unclear?
That's clear. That was Little Pete like stealing the pieces from CJ and in that action like warping them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do we understand how the bullies were at the school in episode 12 and a half?
Yeah, Little Pete created them.
Okay.
Those were
like fake.
those were simulacrums.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it.
And like I don't know if I super got this point across like really, really well, but like I was trying to get it across that any direct interaction with you or like them, like Little Pete interacting with himself before like the split happened, sent him back.
Okay.
So like what you were saying before is like it was interesting for me to think of sending him back in time, but I wanted to make it completely clear that he could not premeditate very much.
Yeah.
Because if he tried, he would always get sent back to like the time that he got split. Like,
Gotcha.
So he was going decades back, like reliving decades over and over again. And every time he like, there was probably like timelines where he like got like a knife and was like, okay, I'm gonna stab him as babies, and it like went to or like try to kill your parents, and like as soon as he popped in, like like back to exactly like where he was.
Weird, and he always went back to the moment
The day of the fire.
The day of the fire.
The day of the fire.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
But more specifically, that's why like if Frankie had been the one to interact with him in the school, things would have been very different. Yeah.
Cool.
Because they like it wasn't an expectation that Frankie was going to be at the school at that time. And yeah. But
I can't wait to play Baldwin again.
we got
I see we want to see more Baldwin.
no questions. Do the Fox parents not remember either?
We don't know yet.
Sandra, probably. I've seen your comments on YouTube.
Hello.
I don't know how long you've been here, but hi.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
The Fox parents, I promise so much. I'm so sorry. I like thank you for asking these questions. I know it's like it might be eating you up. I promise that'll be answered on August 6th when we start the recontinuation of the campaign. I'm so sorry I can't tell you that right now. I'm so sorry.
You're gonna be so embarrassed when that's a Wednesday.
If August
You're right. I checked. Yeah. So it seems like no one has questions other than wanting us to say what we're doing for the next month, which like
so Shannon said my last question were about the hiatus one shot, so I'm tapped. Real Mercenary whole arc was fantastic, by the way. I cried in the end. Thank you so much.
You.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah, I'm covering my face in the in the very end of that last episode because I fucking lost it and couldn't keep it together.
Yeah, we were in the weep zone.
Yeah, I was feeling all of that. I just like I looked very serious in that whole finale, but I was it was all in here, all of that pain.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you didn't catch us at the beginning, we are about to take a hiatus and handlebars. Thank you, Spencer, for that fun title. So the hiatus and handlebars is going to go like this. We are going to be streaming every week still, same time, same place, and we will be doing one-shots GM'd by not me for the most part. Though we still need to figure out who's doing next week. It won't be Jonas, we know that. So it will either be Spencer or Sam GMing something, and we are going to do 4 full weeks of one-shots. So 4 episodes of one-shots where we're playing different systems and different worlds and that kind of thing. And then we are going to take 1 week fully off. And
last week of July.
Yeah, the last week of July, and then we are starting back up main continuing story August
Season
6th.
2?
I'm almost positive it's August 6th.
It is. I checked.
Okay, cool. Yes, and that will be the start of season 2, and it will be picking up right where we left off. So, and we're not going to do like a time skip or anything.
Cool.
Great. So with that, I just want to say thank you so much for being in the chat here today. Thanks for watching all of the episodes. Thanks for continuing to enjoy the story and let us know. I'm gonna do a big ask here. We have a month off because we wrapped this whole thing, this first season, and I really wanted a month to get more people involved. I want people to see the show. So for the next month, at least I myself am going to be just trying to promote it out, episode by episode, be like, hey, if you watch, starting now, if you watch an episode every day, you will catch up to when we start our stream back up again. And I just want people watching, because if you look at the last cast chat we did, and if you look at this cast chat, we have easily 8 to 10 more people watching the show that we didn't before, and that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And yeah, thank you so much. And I just want more of that. If you have friends that you think would like the show, I mean, please show them, because some of my favorite shows are things that my friends have shown. Sam introduced me to the Adventure Zone. And, Sam and Jonas both did. Sam and Jonas introduced me to the Adventure Zone, and that's one of my favorite pieces of media.
That is, in a way, why
period.
we're here, too.
Yeah.
That's got you at a tabletop.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you could show your friend this show, and it could take you here Good show.
You could start your own Hijinks and Handlebars, but not exactly that, because that's copyright and don't infringe on our intellectual property.
But like but I mean, really though, it's such an easy way. Like, if you've been wanting to get into tabletop games and you like this, you could like show this to people you kind of want to like be like, hey, I really want to play games. Join my game. Show them this. Be like, oh shit, this looks like so much fun. And they'd be like, hey, you know what'd be fun if we played a game? I have so many dice. Please let me.
If you've got a crush on a girl or boy or non-binary person, maybe share them a link and be like, hey, we should watch this together, and then you have a long and fruitful relationship.
Yeah, proven, confirmed. So I mean this completely. It's a big ask. I want you to make people watch our show. I want you to do that, and it would mean so much to me. It means so much to me already that you're just watching, and if that's like all you're comfortable with doing, if you don't want to like put yourself out there like that, I completely understand. But if you have the means, if you know some people, if you have some friends, if you go out to like a tabletop night regularly, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to show all these people, that would be awesome. That would be really great. We're super small. We're very, very small. We're so small.
We're tiny.
This is literally real size on your computer screen or mobile device right now. That's actual size.
And the only way we're going to grow from here is word of mouth. I mean, genuinely, like.
And lots of chemicals.
And I'm doing a ton of networking on my end, and hopefully that will lead to something in the future. But right now, like, this show needs you to help it grow. Thank you. Cool. Okay. So with that, let's wrap up entirely. I have been William, the chat master.
That's so bad.
For the cast chat for Hijinks and Handlebars. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at kwilliamwhite. You can also find me back here tomorrow doing Monster of the Week, which is GM'd by Sam, and it's so fucking good. If you like this show, that show's amazing. It's like my character in it is incredible, and so is Jonas's character, and they can both talk about that when it gets to them. But it's so good. This is the start of our third arc. We have backed up episodes, and they're all awesome. Please check that out. Okay.
I have been Jonas Newhouse, the masked chatter, generally playing Derry Nazari. And you can find me on Twitter at Jonas Newhouse, where you can talk to me about all sorts of Jonas Newhouse related things. If you know the identity of my secret admirer, the boss dog, you can tell me who they are at Jonas Newhouse on Twitter. I will also be back, as William mentioned, tomorrow and the next 3 weeks for Sam's Monster of the Week game. I am playing Henrietta the Selkie. She is a leopard seal with a giant sword and a human skin suit, which is not as creepy as it sounds, but not uncreepy. It's going to be great.
I have been Sam Richardson playing Teddy Tedward Tank Thompson. And you can find me on Laggardson you can find me on Twitter at Laggardson, Laggardson. And you can find me, as William and Jonas have both set up, right here at the same time tomorrow, playing Monster of the Week. Listen, we only have 5 arcs of this show. This is arc number 3.
Monster of the Week.
Monster of the Week, yes. I'm sorry, not Hijinks Handlebars. It is a super duper good time to jump in, and if you are looking for something to kind of fill your time while Hijinks Handlebars is taking some time off, or maybe if you're looking to diversify the kinds of games and live streams that you watch, it's fantastic. We have 5 episodes, which are the first 2 arcs, up on QueueTimes, the QueueTimes main YouTube channel, in a playlist called Monster of the Week. This next arc is going to be called Silky and the Solutions, and it's about it's about love. And I'm very excited to tell you more about it, and it would mean the world to me if you showed up in the chat. Thank you.
I am Franny. I play Gertie. And thanks for watching our chat. You can find me on Instagram. I don't know why. At JUST_FRANNIE.
Hi, I've been Spencer LaBelle playing Frankie Fox. Not today, I've been the Chatter one. Cool. They, them, he, him. Then just real quick, just to give you a heads up of things to come, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be doing a one-shot of Dungeon World, which is a Powered by the Apocalypse System game, kind of, the whole Powered by the Apocalypse System, but they're fantasy version of that. Yeah, and that's what's going to be coming up. Yeah.
All right, great.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week probably.
Goodbye. Come back
Goodbye.
tomorrow and watch Monster of the Week. It's gonna be so
Yeah.
fun. It's gonna be so fun.